Hello and welcome to the Crypto Sky Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Today we've got another great episode. I'm really excited to bring you guys an interview with Bob's Repair CEO and co-founder Frideric Prandecki. I was really taken back by how passionate he is about the future of his company using blockchain technology. For those of you who are not familiar with Bob's Repair, they're a brick and mortar company who has recently launched an ICO. They're using blockchain to help eliminate review fraud and provide lower pricing in the home repair industry using a decentralized platform. And basically, this platform connects consumers with plumbers, contractors, and such. They have a really great team behind them, and they're developing some great technology, and they already have a proven track record. If you guys enjoyed this episode, please remember to share it with your friends, subscribe on iTunes, and leave a review. Without any farther ado, let's get into the interview. Hello, Frideric, and welcome to the Crypto Sky Podcast. Thank you so much for joining.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be on the show.
Awesome, man. Okay, first of all, just kind of give us a background on your company and explain the process of entering the blockchain technology.
Well, my brother and I started in 2014 where, we lived together in an apartment and our AC unit broke. And we went on Google. We found a 5-star guy. He came in with all of his gadgets. And after 30 minutes, he said our whole unit was shot. He gave us a price of a brand new one, which was around $5,500. And, it just didn't seem right because, we were like, hey, let's get a second opinion. There was this guy in a beat up truck. His name was Nico. He came in and the first thing he did was check our air filter. And we didn't know much about the space. And he takes out the air filter. It's dirty. And next thing you know, cold air starts blowing right away. And after $50 later, our AC unit is working. And that's my brother and I realized that there's this big issue in the space. And you don't really know who's good and who's not. And we started with helping Nico out because he needed jobs. And since then, we've spoken to over 300,000 consumers and we've connected 55,000 consumers to contractors. And, as we went on and we started expanding, it was, how much longer can we say that, hey, if you use Frideric and Alex's, company, we can guarantee you, on as guys. And our whole goal was to kind of change pricing in America on repairs. There's a big issue that, even at the time, our $5,500 for a small AC unit was a lot of money. So what we start doing is we start taking all this data and asking our plumbers and handyman and air conditioning men to give us all this data of how much the total job costs, how much the unit costs, how much the labor costs. So we have 55,000 jobs with all this information. Our whole goal was to lower all the pricing and provide some sort of transparency and real reviews. And we could only go so long saying, hey, Frideric and Alex can give you good guys, and we needed some sort of trust system. And with blockchain now, where it's a public open ledger for everyone to see, it was a no-brainer for us to take all this data and start Bob's Repair, which we officially created our corporation Bob's Repair, and store all that information to create all this transparency.
Okay, definitely. So kind of describe what the ICO process has been like, and then also touch on what steps you are taking to stay SEC compliant.
Well, with the whole ICO process, I have to tell you, it's I've been doing bounty campaigns for over 30 ICOs, so that's how I got involved in the space early on, and I didn't. Every day I'm learning something new. Rules and regulations are changing. You have to adapt. There's a lot of scammers out there, including people who want our money to advertise. People who are saying that they can help us out. A lot of other ICO people that I've met that are not compliant, that are just taking the money and running. So there's definitely a huge problem in the space, and that's why I think regulations need to happen, because you need to protect the regular investor. And what we did for our pre-sale is we accepted only accredited U.S. investors for the U.S., and then everybody else in the world was able to invest, other than countries that they found it illegal, like China. And there were other couple of countries on our list. And one thing we did is, I know other ICOs where they would just put their Ether wallet or Bitcoin wallet and say, hey, invest. No, with us, you had to create a login. Then you had to do a KYC background check. You had to sign a SAFT. And you have to read our private placement memorandum. So there's definitely a lot of steps. You have to say, hey, am I a U.S. investor? Am I not a U.S. investor? If you said, yes, I am a U.S. investor, we used Verify Investor. and it cost us actually $50 verification. And then, Verify Investor, which is a third party, would do a whole background check on the person to make sure that they are a verified, accredited investor. And now the question is, what is an accredited investor? That's someone who has $1 million of a network or net worth, or makes $200,000 a year. So we made sure to jump through all the hoops to make sure that we are compliant as much as possible.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, that sounds like you guys did a really good job. So next I want you to touch on, explain why you guys need a token and kind of tell us about its use case, and then also touch on the burning process and what that is.
Well, the most important thing is, we are a brick and mortar business, which means, which also states that we're in a real use case where we're connecting people every day to consumers. And, we're not building our own blockchain. And what we decided to use is the Steam blockchain. It's open source. I was just in Token Fest 2 days ago. I was with the Steemit guys. They invited us over, and we really got to talk about their smart media token, and we got to talk to them about their Steam blockchain and what are the things that they can do. For us, one thing we ran into is there's this big issue. There's no escrow service, that we felt comfortable using. A lot of the times the consumer, wouldn't feel comfortable giving all the money to the contractor, or we go vice versa, where the contractor would do 80-90% of the job and he would get shafted, or there would be a miscommunication. So the key thing, what we want to do is create a milestone escrow service, and it's going to be important because people are going to put money into the service, and that's going to be turned into the Bob token, and then that's going to be released based on milestones. And another thing is people can pay the contractor in the Bob token. The guy can accept fiat, and he can convert it into the Bob token. So we really felt there was a real use case for our token.
Okay, wonderful. And kind of explain what the burning process is.
Yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to take our quarterly profits, and we're going to buy back our token and burn them. And this was going to create a smaller supply, increasing the demand.
Okay, and why do you feel like you guys need to do that?
Well, I mean, in a way, we'd like to give back something to our purchasers, and by doing that, we're going to, it's not really a dividend. But by decreasing the supply is gonna definitely increase the demand, and it's just if there's less and less tokens, the demand is gonna have to be higher and higher, and there's no real way to give back money to your purchasers with a token right now.
Okay. So you touched on you guys are a brick and mortar business. So kind of describe the process you guys are going to take to transfer your current customer base over to your new platform.
Well, so right now we have the skilled trade worker platform, and everything we do is based on SMS API. So we don't really have a front-end website. We never found it that necessary. So, and a lot of our times our plumbers, don't even have smartphones. Believe it or not, here in the United States, these guys would just have flip phones, even today. So we made our process extremely simple. But now we are building a web-based application, which we already have a prototype out, where we are building an app, and we're going to be doing our SMS API. But all of this is going to be tied in with the Steam blockchain, and people can leave a review that's going to be stored on the blockchain, and then you can see how much the AC unit cost, how much the labor cost, what was the review of the guy, and it's only going to be tied to the contractor and the consumer. So a third party can't just come in there and leave a review on a job they never participated in. And that's a huge issue right now. If you go on Google, I can leave a review for anyone. I go on Yelp, you can leave a review for anyone. If you go to Angie's List, if the contractor complains, they're going to take down the review because those leads, someone has to pay for those leads, and the contractor is paying for them. So for us, it's going to be 100% premium. We're giving back to the community, and it's important because once you store all these jobs and you don't charge any advertising fees, the pricing is going to change. And once all these reviews are open and transparent, the consumer can go on bobsrepair.com. They can look at 1,000 toilet installs, and they can see how much a toilet really costs in that area. They can find the guy with the best reviews, and that's going to change everything of how the skilled industry is operating on a day-to-day basis.
Okay, so if I'm a contractor or a consumer, do I have to pay to use your platform?
No, it's 100% free.
Okay, awesome. And then you touched on you guys are using the Steam platform, so kind of tell us why you're using the platform and what advantages it has.
So the first thing is there's not a lot of real blockchain use scenarios. And then the blockchains that are existent, like Ethereum, Bitcoin, they have a gas fee or they have a transaction fee. So that means there's a fee to store data. So one thing Steam doesn't have is any transaction fees to store any data. So now if you have to store the data of how much the job costs or the review, and these guys some of them do 2 to 3 jobs a day, that would get really, really pricey. So Steam is 0 transactions. And then the second big thing is Steam takes 3 seconds to upload a transaction. So with Bitcoin, if you want to do a transaction, it's like sometimes even up to 30%, or it takes hours. Here in 3 seconds, that thing is going to be stored on the blockchain.
Okay, definitely. So give us a little background on your development team and then touch on what they're currently focusing on.
So with our development team, our CTO, Brandon Kite, he was the senior software engineer for Disney, Walt Disney. So he was with them for 6 years. And then he went on to work with an ICO called Dragon Chain, and he was the lead developer. And they went 500x into a 1.5 billion market cap. And then he left them to come to us. He left them and then came to us. And then we also have our CIO, which he was at Microsoft. He was a software engineer there. We have our 2 gentlemen from Russia. Our blockchain developer. He's done smart contracts for over 15 ICOs. Eugene has been with us since day one, where he's been doing a lot of SMS API. And then our senior front-end developer, and that's Alain. He's based in Portugal. He's been doing all of our website front-end stuff. And we just added a new member for the dev team, Nurguli, and he's based in Asia, and he's going to be building our app. So one thing, everyone's divided. Brandon's running the whole operation, but we're working on our app right now. We're working on our website, and we're working on our SMS API for it all to be connected with the Steam blockchain.
Okay. So you guys are going to have a web app and then also an iOS and Android app?
Correct, and SMS API, which means that this whole thing can be ran based on a text message. We're strong, big believers on this, where once the consumer contacts us, the whole transaction can be done through SMS, where the contractor is going to get the job, then he can call the consumer, they can meet. The milestones can be done through SMS. The review can be left on SMS. The payment can be done through SMS. That's it's just an option, but that's a big option for our contractors.
Okay, definitely. So what has been the biggest challenge you have faced so far with the development of the platform?
Well, I think for us, initially it was funding. Now that since we did our pre-sale and we raised 6,000 Ethereum, which it's around $4 to $5 million. Now Ethereum's a little lower, but it was just not having enough staff to create our vision. Now that we have our staff and we're going 100%, and a lot of the time was on the ICO, and now we're almost done. Our main sale starts April 4th. Now I have a full team just working on the platforms, so it's really exciting. So I guess it was just time and resources, and now we have both of them. So it's a lot of progress is being made.
Okay, so kind of touch on, you mentioned the staff. What else are you using the funds for?
Well, right now, we're using the funds to market our project. We're using the funds to pay our developers. We have top developers, so they're not cheap. Our burn rate is pretty high. I mean, we're still running out of a garage to keep things as lenient as possible. But if you want to get guys from Disney, Microsoft, top blockchain engineers, they're not cheap. And also marketing. Now there's this big issue in this whole ICO world. Everybody's price gouging. I mean, even if you look at advertising on Google, it's costing you $6 to $12 a click, which we're not doing that. But every conference that we go to, the booth can range us from $5,000 to $10,000. Asia is extremely expensive. It ranges to $30,000. We haven't paid a $30,000 premium. But I kind of feel that when we started our project, our ICO project, and I remember it was like in September, November, the max you would pay for a booth is $5,000. And that's for like an amazing spot. And now everybody believes, these third parties believe that they can price gouge and take advantage of all these ICOs, which it kind of makes sense, but it's starting to be a little bit disgusting, especially these YouTube influencers. They're charging an arm and a leg just to host you. So
okay, yeah, I understand. So you mentioned you went to a couple events. Kind of talk about what steps you guys are taking to get your service out there.
Well, right now we're in our alpha version. So what we're promising to the community is Q4. We're way ahead of schedule. So right now we're building it. We're talking to the Steam developers. They're helping us out. They're giving us ideas. We're picking their brain. We can call them anytime we want. So it's by going to these events and getting to know firsthand these CEOs, these CTOs, the staff. We have a big door that's open to us, and getting a lot of information. And if you look at our advisors, these guys are top notch in the space. You have Andrew Filipowski, he's the CEO of Silk Road Equity. You have Steven Sprague. He had 2 IPOs. They used to own Aston Martin. He had his own ICO. Then you look at Anders. He was the CTO for Ericsson in Asia. So we have a lot of guys who've been through a lot, and we can call them and talk to them. So we're in an amazing position. And if not for this ICO or token sale, we would never get to meet these guys, and the doors are really open. And the Bitcoin community is behind us as well. I was invited to the Satoshi Roundtable with my brother, where they invite 200 people a year, and we really got to talk to these, the CEO of Overstock, Patrick Byrne, and just a whole list. The guy who created Bitcoin Cash, the founders, the guy from Dash, Monero. So just a lot of people, and by talking to them, we kind of get to feel what's right, what's wrong, what should we do, what shouldn't we do, and things that we thought are going to work right now, or we thought it was going to work 3-4 months ago, and you talk to these guys who've done it, it's really exciting because they can kind of, steer you in the right path.
So tell me why a contractor or a consumer would want to use your platform instead of someone else's. Give us a couple reasons as to why you guys would be preferred.
Well, for the contractor, right now the contractor has to pay $50 to $100 a click on Google. On Angie's List, 3 guys are fighting for the same lead, and they're paying anywhere from $25 to $150 just for one lead. And the reason why the contractor would want to come to us, it's free, 100%. You're never going to be charged to get a lead. Why would the consumer use our platform? Well, somebody has to pay for these leads. Somebody has to pay for this advertising. Now that we're not charging anything for these leads, it's going to be a lot cheaper for them to use and find a contractor. So that fee doesn't get pinned on the consumer. And why would the consumer want to use us is because that's all transparent. Right now, if you go to Angie's List and you want to get a rate, it tells you, it costs between $100 to $450 or $500. So there's this massive range, and you don't really know how much things cost. Here they can go on the last 1,000 jobs. They can look how much an actual toilet costs, what kind of toilet they used, or what kind of AC unit they used, how much that AC unit should range. So it's 100% transparent because it's on a public open ledger. And another reason why a contractor should be willing to use us is because we're going to be having all these deals with wholesale suppliers, and they can get their AC units, toilets, tools for a cheaper rate because they're with Bob's Repair.
Okay, so go a little deeper into that. You mentioned you have wholesale connections available to contractors.
Yeah, so the only deal that we've made right now, because we've been so focused on fundraising and marketing, and we know that we're not launching until Q4, so that gives us time. And we've been talking to some bigger companies, but the only deal that we've set in stone is tile manufacturing in Asia. They're going to provide us tiles at a cheaper rate. But the whole idea is once we have our once we're done with our fundraising, we're going to go to all these companies and we're going to say, hey, we have X amount of contractors. What kind of deal can you give us? And as we get more and more, we're going to be able to use to get a better discount.
Okay, so you mentioned tiles from Asia. Where is this platform currently available, and where do you plan on making it available?
Q4, so in the beginning of that. Right now, people are using where they're just calling our ad and it's just connecting to the contractor. But we don't want to launch anything to the general public until we know it's 100% ready. We're definitely in a better position now because we have the funding. We still have our main sale to go, but raising millions of dollars definitely puts us in a better position than we were earlier. Earlier we were 100% bootstrapped by my brother and I. We had a small investor come in for $50,000, and he was a family investor, which we paid him back. But it's been very difficult for us since 2014 to expand to hire amazing staff due to lack of funding.
Okay. So to someone who's maybe not familiar, kind of give us an idea of what a smart contract is and then how you guys are using smart contracts.
Well, for us, the most important thing with a smart contract that it's 100% transparent. But what is a smart contract? Do you personally know, or would you want me to explain it?
Well, you can explain it just to the user or listener who's not sure.
Well, so a smart contract is basically a protocol. It's intended to facilitate, verify, maybe enforce between two parties. So in this case, let's just say we could do a smart contract of milestones. Two people agree to something, and then it verifies that A, I put the money into the smart contract. B, I release it based on a milestone that's reached. So for us, the biggest thing, there's going to be a lot of smart contracts that we're using, but for us, the simplest way would be to, for an escrow service. That would be a smart contract between two parties.
Okay, definitely. So kind of touch on how you guys are able to not charge for advertising.
Well, we are going to be charging 1.5% on the escrow service. So when two parties, I don't think there's going to be an escrow service for a toilet job, but a lot of the jobs are a massive home remodel or a big tile job. So that's going to be very, very popular. For us, making 1.5% is going to make us a lot of money. The Steam blockchain generates money. So when people post and then people upvote, there's a certain amount of money that's created, and we get 15% out of that. And then another way is there's going to be a lot of metadata associated with the contractor and the consumer. So let's say the contractor finishes a job for the consumer, let's say a home remodel, then they're going to get all these offers to buy, let's say, a couch, to buy a carpet, to buy a stove. So there's definitely going to be a lot of options for them, and we're going to get a kickback on that. And obviously, doing deals with suppliers, we're going to get a small kickback on that by selling these toilets, selling these AC units to these contractors.
Okay. So your current SMS platform, what all locations is it available on?
So we're right now in Las Vegas, Nevada. That's our main place. We have 12 pilot cities, or even areas like Riverside, Phoenix, Austin, and there's a whole list of them. And what we did is we wanted to kind of see if this is going to work out. So we kind of did some A/B testing. Another reason why did we do Bob's Repair and not Jim's Repair, Fred's Repair, John's Repair? Well, what we did is we tested all of them. We tried every single name to see what resonates well with the community. With Bob is honest, Bob the builder, Bob the guy you can trust. And also, we own the trademarks in America for Bob's Repair. We own bobsrepair.com, .io, .net, any variation of Bob's Repair. So we made sure to, did a lot of A/B testing. And let's say we'd go to nightclubs, ask people, Bob's Repair, Jim's Repair, and come back, 30 minutes later and be like, hey, what was that name I told you about? And people, all of them remembered Bob's Repair. So that was one of the reasons we chose that.
Okay, that's interesting. So do you plan to make your blockchain platform only available in the U.S. or will you expand?
We're starting with the U.S., Canada, UK, Australia, and then we're going to focus on Europe. I was just in Asia a week ago, and I spoke to a lot of people. I spoke to a couple of investors. I spoke to 2 manufacturing companies. With Asia, it's going to be a little bit tricky because it's a different culture. It's a different set of rules. As we all know, Uber failed miserably in China. They invested, I think $1 billion, and then in Korea. So we're going to have to make sure that we're very careful with our approach there. But right now, it's U.S., UK, Canada, Australia, and then Europe.
Okay.
So
what are the steps you are currently taking to kind of keep this thing rolling?
So, right now we're not expanding. We have our contractors on board. We get our consumers every day. So we're keeping everything as it is. As soon as we develop our platform, we are going to launch it to the public. We're going to have the dollars to advertise. I honestly believe it's going to be more organic. I'm getting a lot of press here. It's just extremely exciting. I was just on Bloomberg Radio. I did an interview with Bloomberg Magazine, Forbes, BuzzFeed. So it's definitely Reuters. Those are going to be publishing very soon, hopefully. So there's definitely a lot of excitement, and by doing a freemium, we're giving back to the community. So I'm hoping we won't have to spend as crazy amount of money on advertising, but we have the plan and we have the budget to do so.
Okay. So do you have a tech background, and just kind of touch on how you got interested in blockchain technology?
Well, for me personally, it was doing the bounty campaigns, helping ICOs raise over $100 million. And a bounty campaign is basically getting thousands of users to help promote an ICO. So that's how I got involved in the space. My degree, undergrad, the way we got involved was just getting screwed over and saying, hey, this isn't right. This needs to be changed. And, our whole mission was just to make it right. And then one thing leads to another, then another. And next thing you know, you're understanding more about tech, you're understanding more about blockchain, about coding, developing. My brother, built the skilled trade worker platform. we're talking to coders every day, so we're understanding the language. But it's definitely very, very exciting. But our mission was never to go into this and say, hey, we're just here to make a quick buck, or hey, we want to get involved in blockchain. It was just the right thing to do it, and it just made sense. And one thing led to another, and another, and another. And if you told me that in 2014 I would be where I am now, or even in 2013 I would be in the home repair space, I would be like, I don't think that's going to happen. But I guess that's how things start. You get screwed over, you get a little fired up, and you're like, hey, I kind of want to change things here.
Yeah, I understand. Okay, so you mentioned your platform will be available in Q4 of 2018. Kind of go over the timeline this year and then maybe some into next year.
Well, so the key thing for us is to make this platform available in the prototype before our main sale starts. So our main sale starts on April 4th, and all the users will be able to see the app. They'll be able to see the web application, and they're going to be able to look at all this stuff and see if they like it. We want to get feedback. The key thing is feedback from the community, because we know that maybe something that we feel is right might not really work. So there's going to be a lot of testing. Then Q4 rolls around. We're going to launch this thing, and and then expansion. Going from city to city, and making sure that the supply and demand fits. Because we don't want to go to a city and not have enough contractors, or for the contractors not to have enough consumers. So.
Okay, so kind of talk about where in 5 years, where do you see your platform being and your overall company?
Well, our mission is for every single person to have Bob's Repair on their fridge, or to know that they can call the guy they found on Bob's Repair and get honest and transparent pricing. That's our goal. Our goal is to change pricing in America and in the world, to make an impact, to get big guys like Google, to make them feel that, they can't gouge on the poor guys who need jobs. So at the end of the day, we've all done it, that we needed to advertise, and then we get really, really overcharged, and that needs to stop. Well, that can't be happening anymore. So.
Okay, so for the contractors and maybe also the consumers you've talked to, what are their opinions on the platform? Are they excited? Are they, tell us about what they're thinking.
Well, we're getting every day. We're getting people, emailing us, writing us, contractors, consumers, like, "Hey, I can't wait for this platform to go live." So we definitely have a lot of positive feedback from the community, and it's exciting. It's definitely exciting, because at the end of the day, what we're doing is we're taking a step back, and now we're getting the option to say, "Hey, what would be the perfect place, or the perfect platform for the consumer, and the perfect platform for the contractor? Forget about money, forget about making millions of dollars. What can we do for the community?" And the cool thing with this whole blockchain, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency space, when Satoshi Nakamoto started Bitcoin, he didn't start it for the money. He started to make the world a better place. And we kind of have the same philosophy. And now with the community behind us and funding that we're getting, it's giving us the option to do this and make a big dent. And we're not profit driven. We're more, the key, I would say the mission statement is to change pricing in the world and make it cheaper and transparent and reliable.
Okay. So you talked about changing the pricing and people overcharging. So how is the blockchain, describe the process the blockchain takes to complete that objective?
Well, very simple. It's tied to the consumer, that it's tied to the transaction. Once the review is posted and the job is posted, then you have one job, one let's say AC unit, 2.5 ton, this model, then you have 2, then you have 3. Now, when the 5th guy comes on board and he wants to overcharge the crap out of everyone, he can't really do that. I mean, I guess he could, but then 4 guys with good reviews are going to be charging a lot less than the 5th guy. So if I'm the consumer, I'm going to be kind of weary of getting the same exact unit for twice the price. So it's all going to even out after thousands and thousands of jobs, and it's going to drive the pricing lower, and it's going to create transparency. But the main reason is going to be able to drive the pricing lower is because these contractors won't be paying for advertising fees.
Okay, so you mentioned no advertising fees for contractors. If I am a contractor, how am I going to actively be seen more to have more jobs?
Well, and that's a very good question. So what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to provide good jobs. You're gonna have to provide good reviews. Like Uber, the better you do, the better is star rating you get. What happens if there's a bad review or unjust review? That's where we have the Steam community. We are going to be based on the Steam blockchain, and the whole community can upvote and downvote. That review will stay there forever. but it could be downvoted where it's not going to have as bad of a review overall score, but it's still going to have some sort of impact on your score. So no matter what review you get, it's going to be there forever. And if you think about it, we've all had a bad encounter at the restaurant, or we've all been guilty once in a while. So, but it's going to keep people in checks and balances. I mean, so many times the contractor runs into a crazy consumer or vice versa. So it's going to be very interesting. It's going to keep everyone honest. So.
Okay, that's interesting. So I have to ask you, do you own any crypto outside of your own token?
I used to own a lot of crypto, a lot of different things. My brother and I got extremely lucky where we sold all of our crypto before the crash when Bitcoin was 18, 17, 16,000. That's when we got rid of everything. Then we said, hey, when you invest in crypto, it's very stressful. You tend to look at your wallet, 150 times a day. So we wanted to focus 100% on Bob's Repair. So we sold everything. Just recently, I actually purchased, my brother and I purchased this other coin, SIA. So we bought like $50,000 worth of it because we saw an opportunity. But, right now, everything's going down. I know it's going to reverse, but, there were a lot of things with the SEC coming out with regulations, Binance being allegedly hacked, some money misappropriated, then a couple of big whales pulling out all of their Bitcoin. So Bitcoin's going down, but it's going to turn around here. There's a lot of dips. I think now purchasing crypto is a great idea, but at the end of the day, like John Oliver said in the end of his skit, I don't know, did you see that by any chance? Yeah, you should look into that. It's the funniest thing ever. And, you should only invest in crypto if you're willing to lose it. It's a very high risk, high return. You could lose everything overnight. Investment, and it's an unregulated space. It's a new space. It's a very exciting space. I've made a lot of money in it. A lot of guys have made a lot of money in it, but don't invest anything if you're not willing to lose. But it's exciting, definitely exciting stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So you've had some firsthand experience with this. What do you think the overall crypto community can do to help bring people in and kind of knock down that barrier?
I think educate people. What are wallets? Where should they store their money? A lot of the problems is people lose their crypto. They don't know how to buy crypto. They don't know where to go with crypto. I mean, I think Coinbase is a great way to kind of get involved, and then you can move on to a bigger exchange like Bittrex, Polynex, Bitfinex. There's definitely a lot of places to play around with crypto. And then also I would get involved in all these communities who talk about Facebook groups. They talk about these things, and you can kind of gauge it. But at the end of the day, it's just a big gamble. And if you would like to invest in any cryptocurrency, I would definitely look at the team, look at the white paper, look if these guys have any experience doing ICOs or doing token sales, legal offerings, and kind of understand that, hey, I might put I know guys who invested $30 in Ethereum and that went 1,000 times. I know a guy who invested I think 10 grand in this project, it went 500x, and he pulled out 700,000. So there's definitely, I know another guy who invested in a project and the guy's disappeared. So there's a lot of things that could happen. But it's, in my opinion, for me personally, it is easy to see, which project is a scam and which one isn't. And that's where these regulations need to happen, because it's not cool for some of these founders to basically take off or run away with the money or misappropriate the money, or, that's not a good thing.
Okay.
So
tell me, who are a couple guys that maybe you really respect or you look up to in the crypto community?
I mean, I'm definitely a big fan of Patrick Byrne with Overstocked and Tezos. I mean, I know that they're coming around. Polymath, with Trevor, they're doing great. I think they just finished their main sale. I know In's ecosystem with Peter. They did a great project. They raised 60,000 Ether. They shot up right away. But there's a lot of projects out there like Cash Bets. They're doing their main sale right now. Obviously, Bob's Repair.
Yes,
don't
sir.
forget about
yes,
them.
Sir.
But there's definitely, John Oliver just made a lot of fun out of EOS. But if you look at the founders of EOS, those guys have done a lot of ICOs. They know what they're doing. It's definitely going to be a very interesting project. It could definitely compete against Ethereum when it's released. So that's something I would keep an eye on as well.
Okay, awesome. All right, well, I'm going to let you kind of have the floor, and you can let out some closing thoughts.
Okay, definitely. I just wanted to thank you for hosting us, and I wanted to thank everybody for listening. And if you have any questions, you can find us on Telegram at Bob's Repair. We're there, and we can answer any. Sorry about that. I'm at home, and my dog's barking here.
It's all good.
Sunday morning, right?
Yeah.
but you can always ask us. We as the team, we're very responsive to anybody. So just go ahead and ask us any questions. We're there, and you can find us on bobsrepair.com. You can follow us on Twitter at bobsrepair. So thanks again for having us.
That's all for the interview. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something new. I think it was really cool to take a different perspective on what the ICO process is actually like and how different use cases are being utilized in blockchain technology and business today. Once again, I would like to say thank you for listening, and I'll catch you next week.